I have set up a bunch of focus modes based around temporary like mindsets or
Emotional modes.
emotional modes that I'm in or like physical modes. So I have a creativity one, I have a mindfulness one, I have like my personal everyday, and I have a travel one. And I just traveled this last weekend and I used the travel one the entire time. And let me tell you, it was life changing.
Hello, hey guys, welcome back to the Evergreen Rx. I'm your host, Hayden, licensed mental health therapist, Cancer Moon, and the first to get deep at any party. And today I have an extra special guest.
Brr, brr.
I'm going to give you guys a second to, if you're watching the video, to try to figure out why it's a special guest. Okay, yeah, he is my brother. This is
Brother.
my brother Grayson. Um and I'm having him on the pod today, not only because he is my blood, but also because he happens to be a bit of a tech whiz, happens to be a little bit of the worlds that he lives in.
And my schedule is just wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open.
And I thought that I do a lot of dogging of technology on this pod, and we'll probably do more of it in this episode, but let's make
It's
it helpful.
it's gonna be helpful dogging. It's gonna be a nuanced conversation.
A
It's
nuanced conversation. It's like a behavioral plan for the child that you love, but is problematic.
sure. Yeah, no, it honestly it is. It is. It's a growth plan.
It's a growth plan.
It's a growth plan.
So we're going to be talking about technology today, our relationship to it. Really focusing on the emotional connection that we have to our phone, because that seems like the place where a lot of our problems start. And we're talking about customization and tailoring of your phone to be more supportive to your goals, less distracting, more supportive of your mental health, and conscious online consumption, and using.
Sure.
We're going to touch a little bit too at the end on kind of using some smart house features, if any of you guys remember that movie, to kind of help connect you more to the natural rhythms of the day, of your body, of nature, and not kind of bring us further away from that connection. So, a lot of good stuff today. I'm excited to have Grayson. Thanks for being here.
It's ironic that we're talking about this and everybody's watching this on their phones. So,
Mm-hmm.
so stay through the whole episode, download the information, and then put the phone
And then
away.
get off your fucking
And
phone.
then get off your fucking phone. What is
Okay.
what is that abbreviation? Get off your GOYFF
Fucking no,
F-
FP.
FP
FP. FP.
FF GOYFP.
Maybe that was it.
At the end of the day,
You guys get it.
GOYFP.
So, let's just start with, we all know we're hooked on our devices. Everybody listening, we don't have to explain this. And we know it's more than just like a lack of screen time limits. Like if it was a thing about
Oh.
willpower or drive, we would all figured it out by now.
Screen time doesn't work, and serving sizes in food does not work.
Yeah.
Just because I know I should have 20 Cheetos, in no world when the bag has 400 Cheetos, am I only eating 20.
Yes,
It makes
exactly.
no sense.
Because what's getting served up to us is so much more than what we can actually consume and what we actually can even moderate or manage. Because not only,
Or
'cause it is
digest.
addictive. Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, we know that if it was just a willpower thing, we would have figured it out. And we've talked about before getting on this pod, that there is an emotional connection that we have with our phones. And I wonder if you can kind of explain a little bit from your perspective why that emotional connection, what it looks like, and why it keeps us coming back.
It's funny to me that people are like so confused why it's hard to put down your phone when there's billions, if not trillions of dollars in modern tech companies
Mhm.
and in paying people like me, like I am a UX product designer. There's entire teams at companies that are their entire goal is to make sure that you stay interacting, you
Mhm.
stay engaged, you stay consuming content. Now, I'm talking about social media, but this also goes for news, 24-hour news cycle. This goes
Mhm.
for games and the small microtransactions and gamification notifications to get you to
Mhm.
come back.
Sound, sights, colors. I mean, it's what do you see when you go into a casino? It's all
It's
of
literally a
those
casino in your
components.
pocket of anything.
Right.
And we spoiler alert, we tried to record this episode before
No,
and
we didn't try. We did. We fully did.
we fully did. And one of the points that Hayden made before, which I really agree with, is that everything on your phone has an emotional component.
Yep.
Pretty much everything does. So you emotionally identify with your phone,
Mhm.
So then it's kind of this relationship
Mhm.
that is way harder to put down. It's your connection to your work and your money
Mhm.
and your mom and your boyfriend
Yep.
and your college
I mean,
friends
it's your best friend. You take her to the bathroom. You like go everywhere with her,
with her.
and
And
you get to connect to things that you love and things that you hate and things that make you feel disgusted and things that make you feel sad, and everything can be elicited through this device. But I think part of it is also you don't know what you're going to get when you pick it up. That's the problem. We associate
oh,
joy
it's
and
a
we
mystery
also
box.
associate pain with it. But hey, maybe this time when I pick it up, it'll make me feel a little bit better, and I'm feeling so shitty right now, so I'm willing to take that chance. Because it is an emotional pacifier in a sense. And I
It's
mean that
it's not
in
even I'm gonna get something good or something bad. It's I'm gonna get something different than what I'm currently
currently
getting
experiencing.
from the life from
And
life.
maybe I can elicit this thing. I can search something up or look at somebody's account. I can elicit what it is that I would rather be feeling in this moment. Maybe, but it's a big maybe. And that intermittent reinforcement of it too is really what makes it so addictive.
I've said this before. Just because you pick up your phone regularly is not a lack of your ability or self-determination
Willpower.
or willpower. It's none of that. These products and these systems are so beyond us and our physical
Mhm.
biology. Phones have only existed for what? Let's say smartphones have only existed for 15 years, 20
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
We don't evolve that quickly. So our relationship, especially for both of us, we've grown up with these devices to some degree. Our poor little human biology cannot simply keep up. It would take
No.
hundreds of years just to start the evolution
So
process to deal with the
what I
effects.
like that what you're saying here is like we're kind of going to zoom out to zoom back in on like what we can practically do about this. But first, I think adding the context and a little bit like what you're saying, like the compassion on this is such a bigger thing than us, and we're also coping within a world that is very overwhelming in a lot of ways. And so it makes sense. Yeah, you turn to this device that like it can make you feel better sometimes, and it also connects you with the people that you love and these opportunities that we wouldn't have in any other time pre phones. And one of the things that I think is so interesting, like maybe this is a little bit more getting a little bit more personal now, is or maybe psychological. I really like what you say about phones also become a part of our identity in a lot of ways and almost like an extension of ourselves. I remember once when I was in a science class in college, the TA professor, she was like, showed us an article about how people feel phantom buzzes from their phone. If you ever feel
Oh,
like your phone's
yes.
ringing and it's
Oh
not,
no, Hayden and I have both worn Apple Watches before, and it's phantom taps on the watch
and
when I'm not
basically,
wearing
it's
it.
it's the same kind of mechanism as like phantom limb syndrome because our phones are seen as a extra limb because we carry them and we're so attached to them.
We're so attached to them. And also, I want to say, rightfully so, the phone, specifically, we're talking about phones. We'll talk about plenty of other technology, but I mean, at the end of the day, the world revolves around the phone. It is the most powerful tool humans have ever made. It replaces, I'd mentioned this to you before. When phones came out, yes, there's e-waste and e-waste is a problem, but there's so much less e-waste because your phone replaces a calculator, a VHS, a video recorder, a DVD player, a fat. Like it replaced all of these actual single-use appliances
Mhm.
that we used to have. And what we're going to kind of advocate for, in my point of view, is I think that you can transform your phone or your relationship to technology based off of the tool that it's going to be or the need that
Mhm.
you have. Because what we're talking about is just like the mindless interacting with it. If you don't have if there's not a specific tool or thing you need to accomplish with your phone, maybe don't be holding the phone. Maybe don't
Mhm.
be taking the phone to the bathroom. Maybe transform the way that your phone works to
Yeah.
like feed into this,
To kind of support
paradigm.
you in your goals instead of work against you.
Oh yeah.
And so, once we recognize this emotional attachment, which I think is pretty intuitive to do, how can we start to address it? Like what you're talking about. What are some features or tools that we can use to improve our relationship to our phones and technology in general? How do we use it as a ally?
It's i- i- you know, we did. pre-bake this conversation, and I've been thinking a lot about, the first version of this episode.
The audio was fucked up. That's why we can't.
Yeah, the audio's just not there. So if you want to read lips, maybe we'll post it one day on something.
Uh-huh.
No, I ran my first half marathon 2 years ago, and I honestly,
Flex.
yeah, so yeah, I'm doing well, and I'm now getting back into running. The I used the Nike app to run to start training to run, and I remember one of the first things, one of the first little episodes said it was all free, and it was actually very helpful. They were like, to start running, you have to start walking a lot. So if you don't go on like 30-minute walks every day, you're not going to go on a 30-minute run anytime soon. And I
Mm,
remember being like, well, one, this gives me an excuse to not run all the time right now, love. And
mm.
two, wait, that's so right. Like, why would I think I could run when I don't
Why
even.
make it harder than it has to? So, like, why do we have to reinvent the wheel? And this is something that I really want to talk about. Is kind of like we're gonna go over some tools and some like really practical things that you can do and places in which you can simplify your use and just really break it down to like bare minimum, and then ways that customization is really helpful. But one thing that I think of is a lot of us, when we've tried to work on this relationship with our phones before, because I'm sure a lot of you listening have done that, we find that it doesn't work because, what did I do a couple years ago when I was trying to revolutionize my relationship to technology and my whole fucking life?
A 0
I
to 60,
I went to Notion.
which, no.
Big mistake. That shit is so customizable. I spent a whole day getting hyper fixated on it's like this. It was this outlet for my anxiety. For like, I was starting grad school, and I was like,
It's a
if
new
this
thing you
Notion
can.
is perfect, I'm not gonna be stressed. No, babes, you're still gonna be
You're
stressed.
still making it stressful. No, no, no. This is so it. One, you okay. Step number one, because all we're going to talk about is just shifting your little moments, shifting little moments. If you are managing your apps, helping manage your life, you have missed the plot. You should. The name of the game, what I have done is simplify. The Apple Notes app, the Android Notes app is fantastic. You can do a lot in it because at the end of the day, if you don't have a structured way about organizing parts of your life or thinking in, methodical ways, a tool that you pay $5.99 a month is not really going to help you get
Yeah.
there. Obviously, for specific use cases, if you want to go crazy on Notion, do it. But know that you are committing to a higher effort, which
Mm-hmm.
means that you have a higher likelihood of not following through with it because you're going to feel
Because you're gonna
lazy.
have to mount that effort every time. And I
Yes.
totally agree. If it works for you, it works for you, and that's so amazing. But if you're not already the kind of person that kept a planner in school and
Oh.
took detailed notes, then you might not be the Notion girly.
Yeah, girl, if
And
you were not highlighting and color coding your notes, you're not
you're
the Notion
not the
girl.
Notion girl. You're not. And it's okay because I'm not. And I mean, I'm a pretty organized person, but still, it's like I don't want to have to mount that much effort because it started to feel like keeping up with my to-do list was like a to-do list in and of itself.
Yes.
And so yeah, one thing, Notes app. So what's so beautiful about that? Why is this thing that we all started to discover we use in this chaotic but extremely helpful way?
You want to know why? It is low effort. You open the app and it provides the value that you need immediately.
And I also think that there's certain features that maybe you even would want that it doesn't have. Like, would I love to make the default like kind of color that the Notes app have not yellow? Yeah,
Sure.
that would be great, but it's not going to change my life or really my relationship to it. And so there's certain features and things of being able to customize and really like utilize it or make it aesthetic that it doesn't have. And I think that's why a lot of us gravitate towards it.
It's now we're going full circle. We went so customizable, so aesthetically pleasing, and making our phone backgrounds and widgets look like us. And then now all of a sudden, people are like making their phone screens black and white and having very minimal home screens because, to a certain degree, it's really fun. If you want to go down the rabbit hole and that's something that brings you joy, sure, I get it. When it
But do it because it brings you joy, not because it's going to most likely change your relationship to the technology you might be struggling with.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the only way to change relationship to technology you might be struggling with is by simplifying it. Because when you
Mhm.
simplify it, it's less interesting, it
Mhm.
takes less of your time, and it takes less of your effort. Another example, besides the Notes app, is just simple apps. I paid $5 for a to-do app called Clear, and I've been using it for 10 years. It is one of my only apps that I've probably used so consistently because it is literally a to-do list, and you just write a thing, and then when it's done, you swipe it and it goes away. And I have used it for so long because it's I've organized it. I have different lists for different things, gift ideas, plans for the day, whatever, but I know exactly what I'm getting. And they've reinvented the app and they had to like rebuild it. And I followed the developer, and the entire time he was like, "You want this feature? We're not adding it. You want this feature? We're not adding." Like he was like, "This is going to be simple, but we need to like update,
Yeah.
the way it
Yeah.
works." And I appreciate it because so many people online seem to really have an affinity for that like perspective.
Mhm.
And I think it's a lot easier than you probably assume it's going to be, because when you have three buckets to put your thoughts into, you're going to use them a lot more because you know exactly what you're getting out of each
It's
one.
like the concept of having the mindset of where can I subtract instead of where can I add. And a lot of times, what we're experiencing nowadays is new updates. They're always adding shit. You
Oh,
know,
always.
like uh, apps are always adding features and kind of complicating them more. And in some cases, that's really wonderful. But in a lot of cases, that just starts to overwhelm us. You know, one thing that I've talked about in previous podcasts, I did one about our like phases of the menstrual cycle that I'll have linked below if you want to hear more about that. But one of the things we talked about is how period apps, like, why do they all suck? They all are so intense. And I had this one app for a while that had like yoga classes and meditations and like nutrition thing. And I was like, bitch, I'm just trying to track
I
when
just
I'm
want to
gonna bleed
know.
next. Like, and I wanted some of that information. Like, I wanted to have some idea of what's happening in my hormones. Like, I wanted to learn about it, but it was too much. And then the app that I ended up getting that I actually have stuck with the longest is this app called Lively. And it almost has a little less information than I would want. It's like simple sentences, and maybe there's a couple features that it doesn't have that previous ones did, but I actually use it because the widget is very simple and it just doesn't overwhelm me when I open it.
But you want to know why that is? It's because you use it as a tool, and it was designed as a tool. It was not designed as a marketplace of thoughts and ideas and content and
Yeah.
everything about being a woman, because that's not at the end of the day what you were bargaining for. And so it's
Mhm.
overwhelming, and it just turned you off, and that app has lost you forever.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because all of these
You've
apps, I
lost
mean,
me forever.
lost you forever. No, I mean, but all of these apps do this because I mean, I was literally thinking about an app that's got more complicated. Uber. I've been traveling a lot. There's 15,000 things you can do on Uber. You can send a package. You can get food. You can schedule one later. Whatever. Wouldn't it be kind of beautiful if you just opened it and it just said, "Where do you want to go?" and it gave you a price and that was it,
Yeah.
and it never sent you a notification selling you on something?
Yeah.
You know. But okay, we digress. The idea is simplifying. And if you're wondering how to simplify and how to
Mhm.
use your phone less, a couple of ways. Have been traveling a lot, and we mentioned this in the last podcast. On Android and on iPhone, you can create focus modes, basically.
Mhm.
And so you probably are familiar with this. You can make a work one and you can make a personal one.
Do not disturb.
Yeah, I do not like doing that. I have set up a bunch of focus modes based around temporary like mindsets or
Emotional modes.
emotional modes that I'm in, or like physical modes. So I have a creativity one, I have a mindfulness one, I have like my personal everyday, and I have a travel one. And I just traveled this last weekend and I used the travel one the entire time. And let me tell you, it was life changing because my home screen looks different, my lock screen looks different.
Yep.
I turned off all of these notifications for stuff I don't need when I'm traveling. So I was on my phone a lot less. When I was on my phone, Maps was right there for me.
Mhm.
And I turned off my email notification and I came back to work today. I had 100 emails and about 50 of them I had to deal with. But I literally never even considered it while I was traveling. And it was amazing
Yeah, because
because my phone looked the same, but acted totally
when it's
differently.
not there, then it, you know, like one of the modes that I use, it's a little bit more kind of like the basic is I have a work mode and it turns on when I am in the vicinity of my work. So it turns off automatically. I don't have to mess with it. You can also set things on a schedule that's so nice. And what I've been thinking about is like, what if I set like a relax, unwind mode that turns on when I get home after work? Because what I find myself doing is going and rotting and doing things that don't actually feel great because it's right there. And now all of a sudden my phone isn't in this like very plain, simple work mode. And so I have access to everything again. And I'm getting enticed by all of that. And what I love about this emotional modes idea is like, what if you made a depression mode where you have access to the apps that actually make you feel better? Maybe you have your meditation app on there. Maybe FaceTime is up front and you can call someone that is a good support for you. Maybe you don't have the apps that make you feel worse right in front of you.
Oh, maybe you have a mindfulness widget that's right in front of you. Maybe you have a rot mode. Maybe you have a rot mode. And because what Hayden and I have talked about before, and the reason why we really like this idea is because you have to set this up. It takes a little bit of time and effort. And then once you do, your phone you intentionally put your phone into a different mode and you put your mind into a different mode.
Mhm.
So if you put your phone into your depression focus mode, you know how you're feeling and you know that you want something to change.
Mhm.
So you don't have to do much besides hit a
It's the
button. It's
it's
all
a
of a sudden the toolkit is there for you.
See, this is the thing that makes technology also amazing is that it's so this is an example of customization, like putting the work in on the front end to then simplify on the back end or to really experience it, where you put in the work, you make the modes, maybe when you're feeling better. And so you set it up of what you really would like to kind of access in this specific, let's just say the depression mode. So then all you have to do is you swipe down and you click a button. It's so low effort. And now the things that previous you kind of did to serve you in that moment are ready and available. And it takes such a little step. And then, you know, thinking of changing the modes or something, maybe you put creativity mode on because you really want to dedicate to your daily writing practice or something. And then you're sitting down and it's hard because it's hard to do stuff like that. We also have such a hard time paying attention nowadays. But you've put your phone in that mode and you'll have a moment where if you swipe down and you are trying to change it, you want to maybe go back, you want to just quit and kind
And
of
do
move on
something
for the
else.
day.
Yeah.
There is that moment of being like,
Is
do
this
I
what I
want to
want?
do I want to change from creativity mode to rot mode right now? And maybe it is, and that's great. But like it kind of builds in one of those quick moments of being like,
It's just a moment
what
of
do I want to
reflection.
choose right here? And this is what we want to talk about with conscious consumption, conscious online consumption. And one of the things that Grayson's mentioned before is kind of like the idea of mindful consumption and using mindfulness practices that we already have in other areas of our life and applying them to our relationship with technology. And you had a metaphor kind of about,
Oh,
eating.
the metaphor that I have is we are so, especially in 2024, especially younger generations, are so conscious and aware and mindful about the things that we put into our body. A lot of people don't drink soda anymore. A lot of people don't have refined
Hmm.
sugar. A lot of people
Don't drink
won't
alcohol, the sober
don't drink
movement.
alcohol. Yeah, no, sober movement's a huge one. You think about the stuff you eat, you think about the stuff you're going
The
to
way
eat
you move your
later,
body.
the way that you move, how often you work out, who you're working out with. So it's kind of ironic to me that you are consuming with your eyeballs and with your brain and with your ears things on your phone, and yet we don't have the same culture around phone consumption. Like if Hayden, for example, was like, "Oh, I just rotted for 6 hours last night on TikTok," I'd be like, "Oh, been there, done that, understand the vibe." But if Hayden was like, I ran from
No,
8
no, I
p.m.
I took a bath for 6
No,
hours.
you took a bath from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. I would be like, I'd be coming over. You know what I
Like,
mean?
are you
If you
okay?
were like, I ate Cuban sandwich, I ate 30 Cuban sandwiches. I'd be like, what's happening? But meanwhile, you could consume 30 pieces of QAnon content
Yeah.
and nobody's like raising the red
Well,
flag.
maybe that's but
But how would they know?
yeah.
It's such an
It's
intimately private thing.
and it's we can kind of yeah, we can consume in these like high levels and really push past what we even know is the appropriate limit for us. Everybody enjoys a little Netflix night, but sometimes you do hit like the sixth episode of something and you're like,
You're like, I
am I even
feel
enjoying myself anymore?
stale.
And so really it is about applying like when you think about maybe the area of your life where you are really passionate about your consumption and the way that you consume or really being mindful about how you do things or you know yeah, just being mindful about the way that you do things wherever that is in your life, thinking about how do you practice those things? Why does it matter to you? It must be aligned in your with your values in some way. You want to live a life that feels good and you want to put things in your body that feel good or move your body in a way that feels right and fuels you. And so what would it look like to apply those same principles and that same thought to consuming technology? Because at the end of the day, you might think, oh, well, that consumption is different than this consumption. Not really, because when we're using our phones and certain things are getting triggered in us, our body's releasing different chemicals and hormones, and it's affecting the way that our brain works, which affects then how we want to eat and what we want to
It's
spend our time on and who we want to spend our time around. Like, it all is connected.
the mind body connection has been proven in science that the more negative you are, the more sick you will be, the more issues you will have long term, the happier you are. Like it is so proven in so many different ways. And it's the same idea of I saw this TikTok, which is very funny, but it was like, I just looked at my big screen all day at work, like your computer, and now I'm gonna go home and treat myself with my small screen. And when you think about it, like there's something very real. The world is overwhelming, and like there's so many things on the internet to consume. But if you look at what you do throughout the day, your the time that you spend on your phone or on technology is almost always not a hobby. It's not supporting a hobby. Even though you could probably lie to yourself and be like, being on Instagram is making me a better artist. So if you think about the way that like the picture of your day or the picture of your diet, you want that diet or you want that picture to have multiple pieces going on.
Diversity, like, diversity is so important in everything that we do. Everything in moderation, including moderation. Like, there are these intuitive understandings that we have that, like, you want to have a colorful plate of food. You want to eat a variety of things. You want to have a variety of friends. You're not going to just have w- one friend and you consume one thing and you watch one movie
And
and
you go on one trip to one place always. It's
because
like,
we want this diversity of enjoyment and activities. And I understand our phones have a lot of diversity on them, but it
but the
is
phone itself is
still
not diverse.
one thing. You're
Yeah.
staring at a screen or you're sitting, in one place, kind of just taking in a lot. We're taking in, and oftentimes we're not really giving out a lot when we're using technology. And that is stale. That does become one note, and it lends to this increasing of like habitual patterns and thought patterns, and that can create a lot of anxiety within us too.
It's funny that you say that exact thing because I saw this tweet literally yesterday, 2 days ago, and if you're watching, you'll see this. It says, "The way I forget stuff at my age, I just know it's over for me at 50." And it's this screenshot from this man, and he was like, "Damn!" It was on TikTok, and then somebody retweeted it, and they said, "Okay, read books, challenging ones, have hobbies that require problem solving, bonus if they're lightly physical, do puzzles, paper ones, spend time deep cleaning, cooking new recipes, and learning how to do household repairs. Doing nothing but looking at your phone will kill you." And there was just something in it where I was like, all of the examples they just gave use so many different parts of your brain and your personality and your body. And when you really, really think about it, staring at your glass metal phone is not using almost any of them.
Hmm.
It's not using hand-eye coordination. It is feeding your brain to a certain degree, but your brain is only half of the equation and your body is still
And we
left.
feed our brains all the fucking time.
Feed your brain less. Go on a walk and just look at pretty leaves.
I spend a lot of time in sessions with people and in my own therapy going, how do we connect what's up here, brain, head, forehead, that region, to what's down here, everything below the neck, because we are so disconnected. And, it's just part of the world that we're living in. And we've been saying that this whole time. But if we can make it a little better, why don't we make it a little better? And I'm wondering, Grayson, like, other tips that you have, other practical things that can just really be the first simple step that you think might make a difference.
We've already talked about focus modes. Whatever phone you use, you can probably do something similar. Something that is actually very powerful, turn off notifications.
Yeah.
Turn off notifications, I would say you could probably do it on 80 to 90% of your apps. I've had Instagram notifications turned off for the last like 2 years. I've never it's been sad I missed a notification. It takes me days to respond to messages, but that's okay. And
If you don't
it's
want to have phantom limb syndrome with your phone, turn off your
turn off
notifications.
notifications. Also, turn off notifications, dare I say, on texts. You will check your phone. Here's the thing. Don't be worried about missing things because you will check your phone. So try it for a day, try it for a week, turn it off on most people, or leave text on. That's what I do. I leave text, I leave phone calls. Most other things are off. I still pick up my phone, I still use my phone, but
Mm-hmm.
it's when I want to. It's not because I'm like rushing
Told
to
to.
something or
Yeah.
told to. Literally, it's not when the companies are telling me to. You can change, I know on iPhone and on Android, you can theme your home screen. And I think the colors are kind of ugly and all flat. You could change it to white and black and just make it literally less interesting to look at instead of changing your whole phone's interface to white and black, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, just changing the tint, like with the new update.
Yeah, just change the icon color. Something I was thinking about too, if you if you still want to escape and you want to ride and you want your brain to just kind of go off into la la land, which totally makes sense, especially nowadays with just everything, do that with your phone, but do it without video. Listen to podcasts, listen to music, listen to YouTube videos. I do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one less step where my brain, I will listen to YouTube video and I'll clean, I'll go on a walk. I do it when I run. It's one way where I'm still connected. I still get to like consume content that I want, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a little less one note and all consuming, you
Yeah,
know?
because you're looking around, you might be moving around,
Yeah, you're looking
yeah.
around, you're it's multimodal. You are able you free up a sense to do other things. Something else you can do even on iPhones, I think, maybe on an Android. Sorry, Android peeps if any of you are out there.
Never had one.
Never had one, probably never will. We on iPhones there's a lot of accessibility features that you can actually use to like make things less interesting, but one I really like that you can actually add to your little control center is background sounds. It's under like hearing accessibility settings and it's ocean, rain, fire, white noise, dark noise, bright noise. And it's great because it's free and it's one new way where your phone turns into a tool to enable you to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
When Hayden and I were traveling together and she had to do therapy, she turned on that white noise, she put it outside, and she was doing her therapy with peace of mind inside the room. And it's just one small way where I'm like, oh no, your phone is great in that moment.
Yeah.
You've spent a ton of money on this device and it can function right now. Having using cameras, you taking videos, creating things on your phone is fantastic. And if you're going to download any new apps in this new year or by the end of this year, maybe focus on only downloading things that help you create or do things and maybe remove apps.
Output
Yeah,
instead
output,
of.
maybe remove most of the input apps
Mm,
because Instagram.com still exists, YouTube.com still exists. You still have access to these things if you want it, but apps are just almost too convenient and too powerful. And it might be interesting to see how you feel even for a short period of time because you will be tempted to download that app again, but now you'll have the difference of like,
Also, if
what
you
did
have
things look like before?
multiple like technology like platforms, say you have like a phone and like a tablet or a computer or whatever, um you can kind of customize based off of the device as well. Like, I famously only have Instagram on my iPad and the app
Blown up
looks
2x.
so screwed up, but I don't have it on my phone. I never
It was
have,
just a
I never
boundary you
will.
set. You
I'm
just
not gonna
separated
do
it.
that. I don't need it on my phone. And I still use it. And yeah, I still scroll it. And obviously this podcast, like, I need Instagram for it. I don't feel like I can completely remove, nor would I want to completely remove social media from my life. But I don't have to have it everywhere.
It doesn't have to be on
It
every
doesn't have to
device.
follow me everywhere.
Along this idea, we talked about focus modes, we've talked about diet. The sky does not look the same any part of the day. Why does your phone look and act the same? Why do you have everything available on every
Hmm.
device? I love the idea of like maybe you set a rule, I only watch YouTube videos on my TV or I only go to TikTok on my computer. It's a small shift.
Hmm.
Maybe you'll still be on it the same exact amount, but then all of a sudden the phone's not in your hand all the time. And then your computer's kind of cumbersome. And you actually get kind of tired looking at it.
Yeah.
And then it starts to create a shift. Because if I limited watching TikTok on my TV, I'm not going to do it for very long because that's not a great experience. I still get
Yeah.
to do it, but
Yeah.
all of you know what I mean. It's something I already use, or vice versa. You know, whatever content and whatever thing you're kind of stuck in.
Yeah. And this makes me think of the like last thing I kind of wanted to talk to you about today is about, expanding to other forms of technology or other just like advancements that we have accessible to us. I know you use a lot of like smart home lights,
Oh,
color
love,
changing,
love.
automated, and you kind of have a way of smart housing your house to make it easier. I can get in when you're not even here because of your lock or whatever. But
That is the name of the game.
I'm
Making your
curious,
life easier.
what do you think? Yeah, making your life easier, and what do you think is kind of the if somebody wanted to invest in something or, use technology again towards their benefit, helping them kind of connect more to the world around them, not less, what would you suggest?
Something I randomly thought about when you go to buy a car, if you buy just your regular old basic sedan, the salesman is going to talk to you about the radio and the horsepower and the features and the this and the this and the colors and the options because that's what we're dealing with. When you go to buy a luxury car, when you go to a luxury restaurant, when you go to a luxury store, everything is about the experience.
Mm,
Because at the end of the day, a car still has four wheels no matter how much you paid for it.
mm.
So then you have to elevate the way that you think about your relationship to that thing. And I think that smart home devices and smart home things can actually do the same thing in your own home. The difference between office lighting and small lamp lighting is night and fucking day.
And that doesn't even have to be a smart device, babe. We've had lamps around forever.
No, we've had lamps have existed for a long
Lamps have
time.
existed. Why the hell are you still turning that fluorescent light on?
The big light should be banned. The big light's banned. Take the bulb out of the big light. Never turn on an overhead light.
No, the big light's
Because
banned. The big light's what's making you so upset.
yeah, the big light is your problems. You don't have to go to therapy when you get rid of that big light.
It's making you sick.
It's making you sick. No, the idea is smart home can take your home and it can either make things easier for you, like an automated coffee maker that turns on in the morning and helps you wake up, or it can make your life work better to your circadian rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
your emotions, your moods, and your goals, which is how I've set up my home. I have different lighting scenes, for example. I think the two things starting off that you should invest in is lights and or sound because they are the most sensory
Yep.
things that really actually make a difference. It's been proven environment makes a difference,
Mm-hmm.
music makes a difference. It's plants like different types of music. So if
Mm-hmm.
plants like different types of music, you better believe your big brain is going to be obsessed with it. The reason why I say these two things is because like I set up my smart home, I have a bunch of different scenes. I have a morning scene, I have an afternoon, an evening, a dinner, a movie, a late night,
Pre-bed
a pre-bed scene, a
doesn't need to
reading
be as
scene.
bright as first thing in the morning.
No, and it's nice because not only does it make my environment really conducive to whatever I'm kind of wanting or feeling. I have a rainy day one. When it's
Mm-hmm.
rainy and gray outside, you better believe my house looks different. The reason why I've done this is because the world is already overwhelming. I'm already exposed to a lot of different things. I want my home to be a sanctuary and I want my home to help me feel the way I want to feel or get the things done that I want to get done.
Mm-hmm.
So smart lights are a great way. Music's a great way. Music makes everybody feel better.
Those YouTube ambiance scenes.
YouTube ambiance. If you don't even want to buy anything, just go on freeyoutube.com.
Yep.
If you want to feel crazy, get premium, never have an ad in your life. It'll change your life. It's expensive and it's so worth it to me. Because if you have even the ambiance of a rainy train while you're reading, you're probably going to focus longer. You're probably going to feel better. You're going to feel cozier. You're
And
going to
if you
feel
don't know what we're
safer
talking about, I'll link one below. It'll most likely have a weird cat in it because that seems to be
because that's what they all are.
unavoidable. But I'll take the weird cat for it to be raining outside when it's not actually raining outside,
It
and
changes
me to be
everything.
cozy in my room.
It changes everything. It's why you love your favorite restaurant. It makes you feel a certain type of way, has a different it has a certain look, has a certain
Vibe.
smell, has a certain vibe. Vibe is very important. I mean, Hayden and I very much agree, and this is I feel like something we've gotten from our mother. Form and function are not exclusively independent. And I think that people think they are. Something can work for you, be economical, be affordable, and also make you feel good or make you look good or make your space feel nice or smell nice. Like it's
I think this is honestly
so
like
worth it.
part of the thesis of what we've been talking about too in your relationship with your phone with technology is that idea that it is form and function. It is everything to us in a lot of ways. But you want to kind of strike that proper balance of remembering it's a tool in its most pure sense. It is here for function and to help us, and if we're getting caught up in form and aesthetic and it's overwhelming and it's too much, then we've swung too far one way. But we don't have to swing the other way and just have a flip phone and just rough it without any maps. Like, we don't have to do that. We're living in the 21st century. But finding that balance of what is enjoyable, what is aesthetic to you and brings you that extra like bit of happiness, and then what is it there just to be a tool to make your life better. And if it's impeding on your life and not making it better or making certain things harder, then it's time to kind of evaluate and
If you're
review.
if you are spending more time managing the tool than using the tool to get stuff done, it's time to reevaluate
Yeah.
because social media has changed everything. Endless content and endless feeds have changed everything. It's changed the way that the world works. It's changed the way that information's disseminated. And the main thing that it's changed is that it's convinced us, all of these companies, all of these experiences have convinced us that they're vital to our happiness and our livelihoods and our digital and personal life.
Mhm.
And they're not, but they're also still very helpful.
Mhm.
And I was just thinking about this, like, what's a tool that's used differently by everybody? A pencil. A
Mhm.
pencil in the hand of a child is just a rudimentary drawing device. A pencil in the hand of an artist is this insane, powerful tool of expression. The
Mm.
difference is the intention, the time, and the effort.
Mhm.
And your phone is the same thing. Just because your phone can do all of these amazing things, or your smart home, if you were spending so much time managing your phone and managing your online relationships and managing your smart home, it's actually not doing much for you. It's taking more than it's giving. But if you reevaluate and you rework that relationship,
Mhm.
all of a sudden you're like the best CEO businesswoman on planet Earth with the biggest podcast because you've girl bossed
All
your
of a
way through your
sudden,
phone.
I just turned my phone to the white tent, and now I'm the biggest CEO girl boss
And now my podcast is number one.
podcast.
Alex Cooper,
Oh
eat
my god,
it.
thank you guys. My podcast is number one. No, and if
But
you're
you know what I mean?
listening
It's
to
like
this and there's things that you're loving and you're wanting to implement, and maybe if you're noticing that it's harder for you or it's just really there's something strong and visceral about trying to detach and it kind of gets in your way every time you try to do this, I'll have a reference below to a book that I think can be really helpful. It's called How to Break Up with Your Phone. It's kind of like a 30-day thing. You just read a little bit and you do simple things every day. And that can kind of hopefully help kickstart this. But I really do think it's complicated. It's nuanced. There's probably so much more that we could talk about it. So if you guys have questions, please ask them. I'll collect them and maybe bring Grayson back on if you guys want. Um, because yeah, it's a lot, and like we started with, it's emotional, and it we're just trying to cope and deal and adjust and evolve as best as we can with all of these rapidly changing technologies and things that are brought into our life. And so, go easy on yourself, but maybe implement some of these things. And if they help you, tell us because I would love to hear. And I'm
I would
so excited to make some emotional and creative and mindfulness modes on my phone.
No, I will say, preparing for this, doing this, recording this before and doing this again, I've really looked a lot of how I've set up my phone and what I want to do, and it's been very exciting and fun to switch it up. My phone has felt like the same thing since I bought it, with different
Mm.
apps and everything. My relationship and the way it's been has always been the same. So it is very fun to kind of customize it to what you want. I think if there's any large takeaway of this, altering your phone time is never going to work because it is an arbitrary thing. It's just time. It's like, okay, I just want to spend less time on my phone. What you'll probably find more success in and feel a lot better doing is altering your intention when you pick up your phone.
Mm.
Because you could spend 3 hours planning a trip, and that's totally okay.
Mm.
If you go in setting that intention, you're going to feel really accomplished. You're going to feel like your phone is really powerful and capable and exciting. If you go in and you're like, "Oh, I've got 15 things to do on my phone and I got to get them done in an hour," it's not going to feel as good. So, hack it and pick it up. Every time you pick it up, think about why.
Yeah. It's just bringing consciousness and intentionality
I
in,
mean,
which is what
shocker. That's the
I'm
whole
always
gamut of
doing. And
this whole
so,
podcast
it's
with Dr.
always
Evergreen.
with Dr. Evergreen. It's always a continuing conversation too. That's why I like this platform and this long form. Um,
What do you call are they saplings? What are the listeners?
I don't know if they have a name yet, but saplings is adorable.
I mean, Evergreen? What is
Saplings.
sapling?
They're
My
they're part of the
acorns?
forest.
They're my
Oh.
acorns.
Yeah. Well, anyway, join, be a part of the community, aka the forest. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And Grayson, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.